Hello everyone, my name is Havian, and today I'm going to be playing Phantom Breaker Battlegrounds Overdrive, showing you the game and helping you decide if this is a game that you should play. If you've seen Phantom Breaker Battlegrounds before, then you may want to still watch, just so you can see the differences between this game and the game that you have actually played, because this is a enhanced version of Phantom Breaker Battlegrounds. You may have played this game before on the PlayStation Vita, on the Xbox 360, and on Steam. It has been released on those ones, but this is pretty much an overhaul that has a few extra features added to it for the PlayStation 4. So I thought, let me show you what this game actually has, show you some of the differences, and show you how the game plays if you actually haven't seen this game before. So this is a side-scrolling brawler with anime girls, pretty much. This is a spin-off of, I believe, a fighting game, so the combat system in this game is very similar to a fighting game's combat system, which is pretty nice if you are playing a brawler, because it does add a little bit of complexity to it. The last side-scrolling brawler I actually played was, I guess you could say Senran Kagura Burst is the closest you're gonna get, or in terms of the ones that I've played recently. But this one is it's a nice little game. So I thought I'd actually show you what you can actually do in there and take you through it. So you've got leaderboards if you want to compete with people online. Help and options. The options are not too complex. I mean, you can change a few of the button layouts, but you're not gonna have a lot of options to actually do much with the button layouts. You can just change yours. You can just change your special attacks and your strong and weak attacks and that kind of thing. It's not going to be a great deal in there. Settings, you can turn the volume up and down, and you can change the languages. Move type, you can switch between stick or on the directional buttons. All the options are very simple, but let me actually just get into the game itself. So you've got local game, you've got online games, and you've got skill set. With the local game, you just play it offline, or you can play it with couch co-op. So you've got story mode, you've got arcade mode, you've got co-op, and you've got battlegrounds. So co-op is going to be playing through the story mode or the arcade mode with other people, like couch co-op, or you've got up to 4 people that you can actually play with, depending on the amount of pads you got. And then you have Battlegrounds, which is like a PvP mode where you fight against each other with your customized characters. And then with Network, you do the same, but you do that online. So you can choose to do the story mode online, then you can choose to do Battlegrounds online. And you can create your own rooms for that, or you can just join other people's parties for that. And skill sets. When you have a character, you can actually customize them with a few things. So you can customize their attack, defense, and speed parameters. Or you can allocate skill points to learn different skills. So it's got a lot of variety in terms of what you can do with a character. So I doubt everyone's build is going to be exactly the same, unless you get the DLC that increases the level cap. You're going to be pretty restricted on what you can actually do with your character. At the moment, I've only got 280 skill points to spend, so I can't really max out everything. But I'm pretty sure, or don't quote me on this, but I'm assuming that if you got the DLC that increases your level cap, then you will be able to get much more abilities, or you'll be able to get near enough all of them. But I'm not using any of the DLC that comes with the game. I'm just playing the game and showing the game as the raw game. And this is a max level character at the moment, and you can see that I haven't been able to fill up everything, but I have created my own little build for the way I did like to play. It's probably not the best, but it got me through. And you do have items that you can equip as well. The item system I'll probably talk about a little bit more when I get into actually playing the game, but I don't know, it's not the greatest item system. It is not the greatest item system, honestly. I mean, it works, but it's like one of the new things they added to the game, but in terms of the game, they didn't really explain it in the game. I had to go outside the game and actually find out what the item things were. It's not something you will know about inside of the game itself. You just see an item laying on the floor and it just tells you to pick it up. And if you pick it up, you lose the one you're currently holding. It kind of sucks. It would be nice if you could collect all of them and then just like switch them out when you go into the into the skill menu. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go into story mode, and I'm gonna show you how the game actually plays. So I'm gonna do the first mission, because the first mission with this game, it allows you to test out the characters. It gives you all the abilities from the offset, so you can kind of test what the characters liked and get a feeling for them, and then you can see which abilities you want to build on later on in the game. Because after the first level, they go through the whole story system where they're like, okay, you've lost all your powers for some reason, so now you have to pick your abilities and fight your way back up and get strong again. So you actually get to play the character at its fullest at the beginning, so you'll know which skills and stuff that you would want to learn and abilities that you would want to use, and then you can go ahead and build your character up in that way when you've actually leveled up a little bit. But there are multiple characters you can pick from. This is the one that I've been playing as. You've got this girl, you've got this girl, and you've got this girl. There are a few more characters that unlock as you progress through the storyline, or when you complete the game through the multiple difficulties, you unlock more characters. So there are a few different characters, and for the majority of them, they play totally different. So you can pick one that actually fits your playstyle, and you can customize the character's colors a little bit if that's something you're into. So I'm just gonna let's go with you. Let's just pick this color. So when you're playing as this character, it doesn't really matter that I'm playing as that character, because I'm gonna be picking a mission that pretty much just wipes all of my skills and my character's levels and stuff like that. So I'm gonna just play it on hard, so the enemies last a little bit longer. So the difficulties you start off with at the beginning are gonna be easy and normal. Hard is something that unlocks, and then each time you complete the game again, it unlocks the further difficulty settings. But I'm gonna go ahead and just play it on hard. So I'm gonna pick this stage, and I'm going to show you what the game is all about. So you got 3 attack buttons. You got light attack, you got hard attack. Well, you got light, you got medium, and you got heavy attack. And then you got special attack. If you do different button combinations, then you'll pull off combos. And if you use a special attack, then you'll be able to use your special moves. Then you can chain those. You can convert those special moves into like powerful versions of themselves. So you can create like combos that you'll find in like 2D Street Fighter games, or just 2D fighters in general. So you'll see there's a lot of items and stuff flying out of the enemies. You're going to be needing those to actually increase your score. So your score is going to be calculated by the amount of coins you grab, and those red gems that you see dropping on the floor, they're going to go towards increasing your actual character level and giving you enough experience so you can actually get new skill points and get new skills. So those are some of the things you're going to want to be going after, especially if you're trying to build your character up pretty quick. But it doesn't really take a great deal of time to actually level up in this game. Honestly, you'll be done with it pretty quick. I think it took me roughly, I'm gonna guess and say before I hit max level, it took about 4 to 5 hours maybe. Going for just playing through the different difficulties, you'll be max level pretty quick. I think before I reached the nightmare difficulty, after I completed the hard mode difficulty, that's when my level was already capped. So the experience points and all that stuff was kind of going to waste after that. But if I had the DLC, and I'm pretty sure that wouldn't have been a problem, but you'll need actual DLC for that. But the game is actually fun. Another thing that they've added to the PlayStation 4 version is that you can have more enemies on screen. I didn't play the previous version, so I don't know how much enemies were on screen on that version. So I couldn't tell you how much of a difference it actually is, but sometimes the game can get a bit too hectic. You'll find that a ton of enemies will spawn on the screen. Some of them that are almost as big as the screen itself. And it just makes it hard to actually see what's going on, because there's too many enemies on the screen. They're blocking your character and you can't really see what's happening. It's a good thing because it makes it a lot more fun, but at the same time it's a bad thing because you can't actually pay attention to everything that is actually happening. They did add a few other things to the game as well. So you've got alternate routes that you can access through the game if you satisfy certain conditions. Some of them may be getting a certain combo in a certain area, a certain combo number, and then you'll transition into the next area that actually is a alternate version. And they say that you can tell the difference between the alternate version because the time of day will actually change, or the environment will change slightly. And then once you've actually gone into an alternate area, you have a higher chance of obtaining items. So the items are going to be, I'll show you what the items actually do. So this is the item I've actually got on this character at the moment. It's a meteor item. And you can activate that by pushing R1. So this is the item that I actually have. The items are nice, but some of them can be really, really powerful, and it kind of negates the use of, it kind of stops you wanting to use your actual other skills that consume your special bar, because you'd rather just save it up for your item usage rather than actually using it to execute your more powerful normal attacks. But you'll find that some of the items that you can find are really weak, and you have no way to actually test the items out to know whether or not the item you're going to be picking up next is actually good. Because once you start picking up another item, you'll drop on the floor, you'll go over to it, you have to push down to like pick it up, and once you've picked it up, you discard your old one, and once you've discarded your old one, you can still pick it up again, but if the screen transitions and you run away, then that's your item gone. And yeah, let's say you pick up another item and it's not, and you tried it out and it's not as good as the previous one, and you're like, man, I should have kept my old one. You're gonna have to wait until you find another one. And sometimes it can take a while before they actually drop. I've still yet to see all of the items in the game. I've only seen like 3 different types when there's multiple. I'd say there's probably like 8 to 10 different ones you can actually, different bits of equipment you can equip. So far I've only seen 3 different ones. There's meant to be charms that you can equip that increase EXP or increase damage, increase coin drop rate, all that kind of stuff. I've yet to see any of those types. The only things I've seen are the ones that actually grant you attacks. But it does suck that you have to kind of gamble to see whether or not the item you want to get is actually good. Because if you pick it up and it's like it's a pretty bad item, then you're screwed until you find it again. If you don't pick it back up, if you don't actually have enough special to test it out first before you transition onto the next screen. So I've been calling them items. What do they call them? Outrange attacks. I think that's their normal name, or the actual name they actually give to him. So the whole main objective of this is to just kill enemies until you keep transitioning to the next screen, and then eventually you'll reach the boss of the area. It may look like I'm pulling off like big attacks on some of these enemies, but that's because they've given you all the abilities at the beginning of the game, like I said. And you can jump between the different lanes inside of the game as well. So if there's enemies on one lane that are causing too much havoc, you can switch to another lane and try to get your foot in again. And try to get the advantage again from the enemy. Because sometimes you'll find enemies that are spamming moves across the whole lane. And by lanes, I mean the different rows that the enemies are actually standing on. Some enemies will do attacks that cover like the whole lane, and it's probably best for you to just get off the lane entirely instead of trying to evade the attack. You can block attacks by if you're not pushing any buttons, or if you tap towards the enemy or punch or slash at the same time as the enemy actually hits you. You can actually evade their attacks or dodge their attacks or block it. You can grab the enemies and throw them around as well. So you have different ways that you can actually attack the enemies or how counter the enemies as well. But some of those are going to need to be, some of those can be enhanced by unlocking the abilities with your skill points. But some of them, from the beginning, you only have access to a few different types of evasion. Alright, so it looks like we're coming up to the end of this stage. Let me try and just go grab all of these gems. There's some gems where I still have no idea what they do. Like, I know the green ones drop you into overdrive. And I'm guessing the blue ones give you more super energy. I've completed near enough everything in the game apart from the very last difficulty setting, and I still don't even know what half of the stuff even does. You just gotta go in there and just kill stuff. That's all I really care about, destroying things. I'm breaking trucks like it's Street Fighter 2. So the combat, I would say the combat system in this is, man, I'm talking about Street Fighter so much, but it is very similar to 2D side-scroll, 2D beat-em-ups. So that's probably why Street Fighter keeps getting stuck in my head. The button combinations you can do, while they're not exactly the same as the games like those kind of games, or the 2D Street Fighter games or 2D fighting games. Man, I gotta stop saying Street Fighter. While it's not the same as the 2D fighting games, it's very, very similar. So anyone that is used to those kind of games will probably feel at home in understanding how you actually pull off some of the moves. Some of the combinations can get technical as well, which is it's a welcome change to these kind of games. I mean, you don't really see these kind of games too often anyway. But there is one thing that is it's bad about this game, like really bad. Like, I don't even know. It can be a really bad thing, but at the same time, some people just probably wouldn't care. But all these coins and stuff that are dropping from the enemies, there'll be certain situations or certain transitions where you cannot actually pick any of them up. Like, let's say you've finished a boss or battle, or you've killed a boss, and hundreds of stuff fly at the enemy, like items and stuff fly at the enemy, and you're like, oh man, I want to grab that item. It looks interesting. It looks like one that I've been waiting to grab. If a cutscene occurs, or if you've killed the boss, or if you've gone into a certain area where a transition occurs and the cutscene occurs, you'll lose control of your character, and you're kind of forced to stand in one place, and all of those items and things will just disappear, or or the game won't give you any chance to pick them up. It's bad. Like I said, so some people may not care, but when it actually comes to a situation where something you want actually drops and you can't get it because the game locks you down, that's not good. They need to sort that out. They need to maybe allow you to just give you a few seconds to collect everything. I mean, you have like when the enemy or the boss is like kind of falling to the ground, you probably have like 2 seconds to go and grab what you can. But sometimes that's really not enough because the amount of stuff that fly out of enemies. So not only are you losing the coins that go towards your ranking or your score, you're losing some of the gems that you're getting for EXP, and you're losing, or you have a chance to lose some of the items that you've actually that have been dropping on the field. Who knows? Maybe it'll happen at the end of each stage. There'll be some sort of a boss, but maybe it'll happen with this boss. Maybe. It's probably unlikely, but I'll see if I can show you. It's probably unlikely that an item would drop, that is, but I'll see if I can show you if anything actually does happen. So I'll show you the tiny window that you actually have to grab the items. Man, some of these enemies are annoying. On the harder difficulties, you'll see that some of the enemies that didn't show up until later on in the normal game actually show up very early into the harder version. So you saw there. Let's say I killed that enemy. Let's say that I wanted to pick up the items that are on the floor. The game forced me to run to the right. I had no control over that, and it's gonna do the exact same thing once I've killed this boss. It's gonna force me to run back to a certain location so that I can continue a story scene, which is annoying. And I'm pretty sure the same thing would happen in arcade mode because it kind of forces you to go to certain locations. But I'll have to actually try that out and see. With the arcade mode, you can just continuously progress through the game without the major cutscenes that are in there. It's just battle after battle after battle. But I'm pretty sure they're going to force you to run to the next scenes to get to certain places as well. Alright, so boss battle. So the boss battles they're not too bad. They're not too bad on the lower difficulties. They're fairly easy on the lower difficulties, but on the higher difficulties it does get a bit insane because they put so many enemies on the screen and it gets in the way of everything. Alright, and boss is dead. So let me grab what I get. Nope, it's forced me. It's forced me into the middle. And then it's gonna move into the next stage. But yeah, this is a pretty fun game. They've added new skills to the game. They've added triple jumps, air dashes, shadow clones. They've added loads of different enemies to the game that can really clutter the game. They added loads of different enemies to the actual battles, which can kind of clutter the screen or make it really fun when you're pulling off some big combos and loads of them. Alternate routes, you got the new item system they've added to the game. But it would be nice if there was a little bit more clarity on how you actually get the items within the game itself. I flicked through the instruction manual. It doesn't actually, not the instruction manual, like the in-game help or the in-game tutorial, and it doesn't really give you much information on that. But I've got, even though I've gained a few skill points, I can't, not gained a few skill points, even though I gained some EXP or grabbed the EXP gems, I can't actually allocate anything because I'm at max level with this character. But here I am on the next stage. But this was Phantom Breaker Battlegrounds Overdrive. It's a fun game. I would say this is going to be a game that the initial story is probably going to take you like about 3 or 4 hours to actually complete. But I would say it's something that you'll probably play a lot more if you're going to be playing it with friends. It's couch co-op, or if you're going to be playing it online with friends as well. If you've got people to play with, then this is a game that's going to last a while. But I'd say if you're going to be playing this as a single player game, it'll be fun for the first few run-throughs, but then after that I can see it getting pretty repetitive. I can see it being something that you'll probably start to ignore after a while. But if you've got people to play this with, then it can be a lot of fun. But that was Phantom Breaker Battlegrounds Overdrive. If you want to see some more games later on, or if you want to see some more games coming soon, newer games, maybe games that I'll be making guides for, then I suggest you subscribe. If you know someone that is going to probably be into these kind of games, then I guess you can send this video over to them and show it to them. Maybe they'll enjoy the game, maybe they'll grab it. Maybe you can convince them to go and get a copy and play with you. But until I make my next video, I'll see you all later.